Greetings, Space Cadets. It is I, the OGGM. What is it? Unbelievably huge cardboard tube. It is I, the OGGM. It's Friday. It's cold, but bright and sunny. This strange polar plunge, which sounds like a roller coaster, is still hitting us in weird and strange ways, and the situation in the Ukraine is still going on, so I guess we're still in Ragnarok. I'm waiting for my fire giants because they're warm. Anyways, it's Friday, so it's time to take a look at any last minute news that might have hit the world of tabletop role-playing games, and toss out maybe a DM tip, and of course my weekly editorial on things that are going on that I think I need to talk about, even though I have no level of expertise whatsoever. So what's going on? I guess Venger Satanis is in the gaming news. He's been banned from a couple different gaming conventions for political reasons that I won't get into because that's not the point. I guess censorship at gaming conventions is a thing. Political correctness, I don't know. It makes no sense. The guy is a very prolific writer. He's a good writer. He's got a lot to say. Maybe there are people who don't agree with his politics, but then, last time I checked was still a free country, though Lord knows for how much longer. But it's news. Obviously, Venger has posted about it on his channel, so free shout out and shilling for the Venger Satanis' channel, and if you want to find out why he was banned from the various conventions he was banned from and what he's doing to address that or whatever. I mean, everything's digital now. Is there even a point to go to a convention? I could just talk about what you're going to talk about on a live stream. Anybody who would have gone to the convention to talk to you probably would have said it on the live stream, I suppose. And I guess the only other reason to go to a convention is meet or greets, interact with fellow members of the hobby, and sell stuff. Venger Satanis, being an independent publisher, of course, would be able to get stuff to audience members at the con he might not be able to get to via the interweb. And as for interacting with other members of the gaming community, and maybe seeing, I guess, old friends again, it sucks, but also this is the age of Zoom and digital. I mean, brick and mortar conventions are going to be a thing of the past, especially people, even with the mask mandate being limited. Are people really going to start going back to conventions where everything they can do on a convention, they can do online? It's a lot of money for me to travel to the middle of nowhere and get a hotel room for 3 days when I can just watch it online in my pajamas. But I guess the final point is, unless he did or said something that's absolutely horrible, why is he getting banned? But again, you should probably go over to Venger Satanis' channel and find out why. Link down below. Any other news going on in the gaming community? Yes, we are seeing the return of incredibly expensive stuff. Dun, dun, dun. Now, I might get a little opinionated on this one, so it might borderline an editorial. So towards the end of last year, we saw a whole bunch of, we've seen this before. It's not new. Ridiculously priced gaming products. One of the first I ever commented on was Invisible Suns by our boy over at Monty Cook land. Invisible Suns was a $200 role-playing game. Now, for that $200, you got a ton of stuff, including a giant black, human size hand statue that I guess had something to do with the game, and lots of props and tokens and cards and download codes and soundtrack. But still, $200 for a game. Now, noticeable the fact that since then, Monty Cook has done almost nothing with that IP. much like most of his product lines. And look, he's trying to do poultice for 5e, so you can get a $200 city book. Yeah. And of course, there was the the huge Tiamat figure that was like $300. The huge Tarrasque figures that was like, hey, look, somebody's at the weird spooky house again, $300. There was those life-size kobold statues that were like $200-$300. There were super special box sets from Beetle and Grimm. They were running $80, $90, $100, $200. I mean, and now we're seeing like the giant figures from the Critical Role series that are running around $100. We're seeing super duper box sets that are running anywhere up $100 or more. We saw a lot of this at the tail end of last year going into the holidays because, hey, impulse holiday buying. And then everybody was like, well, this isn't going to continue. I mean, people are coming out of a huge recession and people don't have that kind of money to just fork down $300 for something they may never use. But nope, I guess the industry still feels that there might be a target audience because they're still making them. Super duper deluxe box sets with weird digital covers and downloads and props and stuff ranging in the $200-$300 range. Has anything gone beyond the $300 range? I think there was a $380 figure, maybe the Tarrasque figure. But I think about $400. Let's just say $400 is the limit right now. I don't believe I've seen any tabletop role-playing game product. Well, no, the digital gaming tables are running pretty expensive. I mean, that's basically just a flat screen TV that has a table built around it. But still, even if flat screen TVs are now not that expensive, the process of turning it into a gaming table is pretty expensive and slightly time consuming. So those are probably running around the $300 mark. Even if you home make it, you still got to buy the TV and everything. So right now, I got to say the highest we've seen so far, $400 for a useless tabletop role-playing game product, prop thing. $4 for a figure you might only use once. Kind of ridiculous, but it exists, which means that if $300 is being considered a reasonable price, $400 isn't that far away. And if $400 by the industry is considered a reasonable price, what's to stop them with making a $500, $700, $1,000 RPG product? And you might be thinking, well, that's ridiculous. Nobody's going to spend $1,000 for a figure of, Elminster. But all it takes is one. All it takes is one to justify the industry going, hey, that was worth it. Because at the point where you're selling something for $400 or $500, you're making more than you're spending. Because, it costs a lot to make the initial product, but after that, once you're in the mass production stage, it's costing you barely nothing as the creator, producer, especially with digital 3D printing now. And then you can just turn around and charge it, whatever, $300. And if just one person buys it, well, you've at least made your initial investment back, and it's out there. And once it's out there, you get the I gotta have it mentality. You get the collector's mentality. You get the Pokemon card mentality. You get the if Joe has it, I have it mentality. And then there's two. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
So I personally think it's ridiculous to spend that much money on a D&D product or toy, especially with the way the economy is right now. That's money you could spend on something like, I don't know, food and bills, but I guess if you're in the financial position where you can afford it and you have the space for it and it brings you joy, who am I to say how you spend your money, even if I feel it's ridiculous. And the industry obviously doesn't feel it's ridiculous because they're making them. And, you know, obviously there is a precedent that something this ridiculous will sell because the industry keeps making more of it. So yeah, that's a thing. That's news. Is there anything else going on in the world of tabletop role-playing games? Well, it's almost summer, which means convention season is upon us. I mean, there's conventions all year long, but the big ones are coming up. The big board games, cons, the big role-playing cons, the big collectible card game tournaments, the big video game tournaments, all the big stuff. You know, San Diego Comic Book Con, New York Comic Book Con, New Jersey Comic Book Con, Gen Con, Origins, the Ennies. I mean, summer's right around the corner. Oop, hi, angry dog. So yeah, con season's coming on. I have a feeling we'll see probably mixed media conventions. Like, hi dog, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, no one's gonna hurt you. Like we did last year with Gen Con and the other cons, half physical, half online, and then the pop-ups. I think the pop-ups are very clever. But the question is it cost effective for a game store to dip into the pop-ups? I mean, free comic book day is great, and it brings a lot of people into the comic book store. But free comic book day still costs the comic book store owner money to get those boxes of comics and time to set them up. The hope is that for every collection of free comic books you give away, you make a sale, you make 2 sales, you make 5 sales, you make somebody coming in going, oh, I want the complete run of Frank Miller's Batman or whatever. And they bring their kids, and their kids are like, oh, can I have that, you know, Funko Pop of Wolverine? And that's another, so that's how the pop-up, like, you know, free comic book day makes money. Free RPG day makes money the same way. You're not getting that stuff for free. You have to pay for it. Turn around, hope that when somebody comes in and grabs those free RPGs, they spend some money. More stores do free comic book day than they do free RPG day, just because cost effectiveness, it's easier to do that than the other one. So the pop-up, the Gen Con pop-up relies on the same idea. Can I get enough in-store foot traffic to justify paying the money to make my store a Gen Con pop-up and carry all the stuff for the Gen Con pop-up, you know, and will the foot traffic be worthy of the amount of money? Now, unlike the other 2 pop-ups, which are, you know, free, the Gen Con pop-ups do involve things that people are going to spend money on, like t-shirts, merch, bags, dice, the supplements, the product, plus the digital broadcast, whatever. So it's slightly more to your advantage as a game store owner to probably do the Gen Con pop-up, and I would think we would see this formula continue going into the future. What do people think when they see me walking? It's a good formula. You know, physical presence, digital presence, pop-ups in game stores for people who can't make it but still want the experience. I like that. I could see somewhere down the line more digital, more pop-ups, less physical convention. It would all just, I think, boil down to cost effectiveness at some point, wouldn't it? Is it more cost effective to do the convention at the hotel thing? Or is it more cost effective to do the digital thing? Or is it more cost effective to do the digital pop-up thing? Or is it more cost effective to do all 3? What is my profit loss But anyways, yeah, convention season's coming up, so we'll see all the big cons coming. Looking forward to seeing what we can expect as we go into Q2 of 2022. Number one most anticipated role-playing game is still, at this point in time, the Blade Runner role-playing game from Free League. Number one role-playing game sales-wide in the world. Well, I'm sure that changed as of what's going on in Europe. Was Call of Cthulhu. The future of Wizards of the Coast D25E is questionable at best, but still seems to be holding strong in the number one spot. So the convention season and the award season and all these anticipated games coming out in March, April, May will definitely help us chart where the industry is going and where the conventions are going and how things might change as the basic philosophy of the gaming industry seems to change and drift away from that D&D mentality and more towards the social interaction, lasers and feelings ideas, which, of course, Wizards of the Coast didn't invent. Anyways, that's it for today's last minute Friday news. Hopefully you appreciate the words that are coming out of my mouth. If there's a topic I didn't cover, let me know. If you don't like the words that are coming out of my mouth, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit the 1,000 subs mark by August 4th, 2022, and we'll do something crazy. Till then, I'm your guide to how the tabletop role-playing game, news, weather, sports, and general internet nonsense, broadcasting live from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica and not in Ventura, California. The OGGM. See ya.